Welcome back to the channel of truth, trust, and transparency. Today I'm actually digging into another question, and I've been loving these that have come through on things like the YouTube channel and my Instagram DMs. Now, I've got this email, I've got this message, and I'm just going to sort of change a couple of details in it to keep the person anonymous. However, it reads like this. I've been listening to your pod for a while, and it's been a huge help in building my knowledge as I look to get into development. I'm 19 and have been pursuing a sport since finishing school. Next year, I'm moving to insert location to keep playing sport while also having the time to take on full-time work. My long-term goal is to move into design-led boutique developments. In your view, what's the best path to get started? Should I be looking at a Bachelor of Diploma in Construction Management alongside trying for a cadetship at a major builder like Multiplex? Or do you think formal study is less critical for getting my foot in the door? I'd love to hear your advice on the pathway you'd recommend for someone starting out. Great question, and I know there's a lot of sort of young lads out there that are looking to get into development, so trying to relate to this and the people that I know that are out there watching these videos, all 30 or 40 of you guys, really appreciate it. But so here's my thoughts on this particular situation. Yeah, look, looking back, I think I did 6 years of study, half in design, half in architecture. Look, architecture was great. However, what I soon found out is that, with that sort of skill set, you can work in development, which combines a lot more of my skills and pays a lot more than architecture has and ever will. In terms of what should you get into, I think you have to have a think about, and I know the long term is to get into development, but the question I would ask you is, what part of development do you see yourself working in? If you want to be working on job sites, do you see yourself wanting to get into the trade background, or do you see yourself in the office and just wanting to sort of high level run the projects and do all that kind of stuff? There's two, I think, right there, two very different paths to take. The issue that I believe out there, that and I've worked for big developers and small developers, as long as you're not trying to, I would say climb the corporate ladder, and get up to the top rungs and be paid all those sorts of things. Me personally, I wouldn't anyway, because I know I can earn 10 times as much as those sorts of guys. But as long as you're not trying to, go corporate and climb that corporate ladder, and you are yourself, you would know if you are sort of that entrepreneur, if you think you are that leader, that person that wants to go out on their own, I wouldn't recommend a big tier one. If that is you and you go, look, I just want the safety and security, work my way up, then sure, go down that route. But if you're watching YouTube videos already, especially at 19, it's a good chance that you want to go at it yourself. So for me, you need some sort of hands-on experience, whether that be, for me, I've worked at both small developers and large developers. I kind of like the small developers more, and the reason is because the projects move a lot quicker. You get exposure to a hell of a lot more things in terms of the process. I was doing everything from development management. I was even on site. I was doing permits. I was working in with the PMs. I was on site coordinating trades. I was on site coordinating defects. I was on site for all those sorts of things. So I had a really good mix, and that was because that was a small boutique agency. Now, you've got an interesting, especially for this particular scenario, you got a really interesting opportunity here. If you want to get into development, you can definitely study it at uni if you see yourself getting into that sort of job and getting those sorts of years behind your belt, and you want to come with some sort of backing. That's not an issue. If I had my time again, I'd probably go straight into studying property development, and then my pathway from there would be to get a job as either some sort of administration, contracts admin, assistant development manager at a small or boutique sized property developer. Look, that would be my suggestion to have a look at. I obviously can't give financial advice on this channel. That's what I would particularly look at. The reason why I like the small projects too is because they're going to be similar to what you're going to do. there's a good chance that sitting at home at 19 years old, you're not going to come out and start development. Your first project's not going to be 400 apartments. So if you can get experience on and in working for a developer that does those small scale projects, think townhouse, duplex, maybe smaller apartment buildings, talking 2, 3, 5, 10, that would be the best place. And you want to soak up as much time and effort as possible. You want to soak up as much experience and learnings as possible. At the same time, you also want to try to be building that wage up. Now, I don't know if this is going to come down to a line in the sand where it's either, you go football or you go study and all that kind of stuff. My parents, when I was playing football when I was younger, always said to me to try to keep the balance of both. And what I found, I didn't get it at the time and I had to do extra hours, especially with keeping up with my school grades. But what I found with all that kind of stuff and study in uni is that a lot of those boys that I am mates with that just done the footballing side of things, once that sort of didn't work out in terms of the top flight league, they had nothing to sort of fall back on. So I think if you do some sort of study or some sort of career work, you've got something to fall back on. If it's development that you want to get into, then I'd say small scale developer, studying property development, going into there. The construction management side of it is great also. The size of those firms, the size of those small scale developers, they'll likely have a foreman on every job or across a couple of jobs. So there won't be there won't be heaps of opportunities to get in and work with those smaller developers. There'll still be some, but you need to check the job market. Whereas like the big tier 1 builders, you obviously go through, but then you're building apartments and multi-mixed use, and of course it's great experience, but it's not applicable to what you want to do. So I look at it as there's sort of two ways. Let's map this out. So the first is if sports star. I'm going to put sports star. I'm going to back him early and say that this 19-year-old becomes the next sports star. This is where your full-time job is becoming a professional athlete. Here's what I would do. I would do, 1, build a resi base. So once I start getting in and playing my sport of choice, getting really professional, really good at it, and I start getting a decent salary, I would start by building a residential base. Why would I do that? Something to fall back on, something to draw equity out of, something to be able to build your wealth over the years. If you just started on a sports star and I said, okay, like I don't know what they are paid this, but let's just say, your first contract's 200 grand. And I said to you, look, yeah, you want to do a resi development, you need $500,000. That's going to take a long time for anyone to save up to and get to. However, if you've built a resi base of, say, 3 to maybe 5 properties, you then have 3 to 5 properties growing in value that you can pull equity from and you can service with your sports salary. First, resi base. Number 2 is going to be mentor, course, partnership. If you're a sports star, you're going to have a really, really time-consuming schedule. You might start to build up your salary. From there, I'm building up my resi base. I also want to then lean in and find a mentor, a development course, or a partnership with somebody that I know, trust, and can build a great relationship with to then start in developments. And I always say this to people is that you don't need to make a shitload of money to retire on your first development. You're basically buying in or paying that money or paying that price to get in, to get the experience, to get the front to back experience, right? This is a quicker way to do it. You're learning from someone that's been there and done it, that has put all that knowledge potentially into some sort of course, or you're partnering up with someone that is potentially a builder. You could have a mate or someone in your network that is a builder that needs the cash, which you can service from here or from your salary on there. And then the third point is then you can start to develop yourself. So for example, you might need to get mentored and help across the first 2, 3, what am I doing? I need help. Don't focus. I always say this, and the reason that we've got our residential investing course, for example, is build the skills and the experience, because no matter No one can take that from me. And when you have that, even if you're starting again, you're starting from scratch, or if I was to come into money or someone that has money, I know how to do it straight away. So that's why we get the skills and learning behind us. Then we can develop. Now that might be partnering with a, sorry, I'll add on to this as well, the JV. So we're working with a mentor, working courses. This is part-time too. This might be video courses or something that you can chew through, between your sessions, between your double day sessions. I don't know if you train twice a day or whatever, but professional athletes, at least daily, that you can spend a couple of hours on. The best part of our development is that you don't need to work 9 to 5 to make $1 million in development. But I do this, get a really good understanding under my belt about how I do it, the processes involved, the money involved. I wouldn't be afraid to pay money up front for people that have that knowledge to gain it and be able to process and then go on and do my own. Then step 3 is going to be develop. So you also start small and then you can graduate to larger projects. Hopefully, if you're a sports star as well, your salary is growing over this time too. One really cool thing as well, and if you're well known, you have access to a huge network and support network of people. So you can definitely lean on that. Life is not always about who you know, it's about who knows you and what you do and what you take interest in. So once you start and then maybe you're posting up or maybe you're sharing those sorts of stories, those development stories, you'll be amazed by how many people reach out and start to contact you. Same things happen to me, through the podcast and through this sort of content. People are reaching out, asking for questions. That's your first side. Your second side is more traditional. This is similar to what I've done. So you're playing, you're still young too, man. You got so much time. You're 19, playing and then studying. So if you've got time, so you're obviously playing your selected sport, and if it's a bit of study that you're looking to do or get involved in, then I'm thinking studying, you're going down 2 routes, is development. You can do sort of project management or anything like that. You can also do construction management. That's probably my preference. That would probably be the order in which I would study them. First is development, second is PM, third is construction management. Construction management's good, but sites that need a construction manager are very big and are quite large. So if you want to start in development yourself, you might not actually need, it is likely across my projects, I'll never need a construction manager just because they're so small. So I'm studying that. After I study that as well, I'm looking to get, during this time and depending on my sort of playing schedule, I want to get experience in the smaller boutique office, the better, because you just get asked to do everything. And when you're young, you're going to feel like you're at the bottom of the food chain and it's absolutely shit. But when you get older and you look back, like me, what you realize is, wow, I actually got exposure to the entire process. If you study development at uni, you're going to be good at the numbers, you're going to be good at the entire process. PM and CM are more site-based. So I'll leave that to you guys to decide if you want to be sort of in the office and doing that sort of stuff, or you want to be the guy on site. Dev as well, I go to site as well. I just obviously don't have, I just don't have the full understanding that, for example, a project manager will do. But after studying, I would go and get some sort of experience. At the same time, I'm also saving, and then I'm also building Resi Base. The advantage of doing it this way is, whilst I'm studying and whilst you're playing, remember, always talk about your life being in seasons. Some seasons are money seasons, some seasons are study seasons, some seasons are Italy, some seasons are Bali, some seasons are you down in the dumps. Whilst you're studying and you're trying to get some sort of experience a couple of days a week, the best part about this part of it is you're learning the skill. You're learning how to put deals together. You've got the foundations, the knowledge, and the skill set to be able to start putting a deal together. You're seeing what it looks like. You've got the skill set. So you don't necessarily need to have a Resi Base started before you start your first development. Why? Well, if I knew exactly how to do something, I could say, this is the site, this is the FISO, this is the builder, this is what you'll make. You can package that up and you can bring it to someone in your network, someone that you know, some wealthy person that you get in contact with, because let's be honest, you'll be absolutely surprised how much money there is out there these days once you start talking about it. And you can do a JV. So picture this. Okay, I've got 2, 3, 4 years, or I'm finished this and I'm in one of these jobs, and I package up a deal, and this is how I'd position it to someone. Hey, Mr. Smith, man, look, I've been, as you know, I've been studying development. I'm working at, I actually had a deal come across my desk. These are the numbers. This is what I'm looking for. This is the type of return you can get. The best part of that is you can structure it however you want. As long as the JV partner agrees, you can do a 50-50 split. You can be paid a project management or a development management fee. You can be paid both. And that person can put up the money to be able to deliver the deal. Now, obviously, you can't just go out there and do that because you don't have the experience. But once you do have that learning experience, then you can start to run those deals. Study, development, those sorts of things. Or if you are that sort of sports star that is training a hell of a lot and you don't have that time, I'd be investing my sports star salary, which is usually pretty good, into some sort of resi base so that I can withdraw the equity out and be able to do those things myself. So I think and I hope, above all, if you were to do just one thing, like out of either way, this is my number one. Knowledge. You need to gain the knowledge required to development. How you do that, through a course or through a study, through course or through study, is going to be up to you and what your sort of sports career is doing. But here's the thing. If I had either the knowledge or the money, which one would I pick? I would pick the knowledge and the skill set every day of the week. Why? Because like I said down here, if you have the knowledge on how to put that deal together, how it works, what the costs are, you can then find the money. But if I had the money and I wanted to do it, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to do property development, but I got nothing, I need to learn the skills and get knowledgeable anyway. So for me, I get the knowledge, I have the skills to be able to do it first. That is number one. Then I can either find money or I can pull money in from my resi bases. That's how I did it. I actually sold down one house in my portfolio. And then I did an equity withdrawal, and that way I could fund myself for my deals, my first couple of deals. So that would be my opinion on the subject. If I had to say anything on this particular one, it would be, obviously, it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor or anything. You've asked for my opinion. You've asked for my 10 cents. I don't know too much about the situation other than 2 messages, but you tell me what sort of way that you're heading down with your sports and your career. If you're sort of 19, you got so much time fresh out of school, so maybe getting some sort of study around whether you want to be in the office and crunch the deals, or if you want to be on site. That's something you'll have to answer. Then from there, just try to build that knowledge and skills base, because that can be used to put to deals faster compared to if you just had $1 million and then you needed to start. Because if I had $1 million, I'd still need to find someone that knew what they were talking about, and to do that, I'd still need skills and knowledge myself, because otherwise I'm trusting almost anyone. So that's my summary on it. Let me know. One thing I didn't add in this video that I actually will talk about, because I believe it's important. I would not, in any career or anything that you want to do, chase the money side of it. The money is the byproduct of doing what you are good at, passionate about, love doing, and doing it well. The money will come with anything. If it's footy, you go down that path. If it's, I don't know, if you love another topic or subject, I would go down that path. Just because you see the money that you can make in development, I wouldn't just pick it because of that. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing this for a lifetime, if you're doing this for the next 40 years, 20 years, 30 years, you got to love what you're doing. For me, my passions are architecture. My passions are design. My passions are construction. My passions are like marketing and branding. So when you look at those passions and combine them, you have development, because you have the design element, you have the construction, you have the architecture, then you have the design and branding of the project. So for me, it is a combination of my hobbies. If I do that well, I'm going to get paid well. Same with if you had other hobbies and you did them well, or things you like doing well, you'd get paid well. So never just follow the money, especially with development. There's a lot of people out there. You see developers making millions and millions of dollars. I wouldn't just do it because of the money. I would do it and focus on what you like doing. If it's your 9 to 5, if you want to, like this kid said, if you want to get into development and be a developer, different to if you've got, say, an investment portfolio and you're using development as a tool to be able to get to that passive income in retirement. Two different things, something to think about. Questions, queries, everything in the comments. As always, guys, I'll see you tomorrow.